Autodesk and Marvel Studios teamed up to bring a mesmerizing ad onto the Sphere. It celebrates the release of the Marvels and highlights the role the Autodesk Design and Make platform plays in media and entertainment. The ad was created by the talented crew at The Mill, a world-renowned visual effects studio. They will give us a behind-the-scenes look at the creative process and their approach to tough, never-been-done-before production challenges, like creating fan-favorite goose in breathtaking scale. Please welcome to the stage David Lawson, Creative Director, and Jocelyn Bush, Director of Experience at The Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready?
Get ready, no. Get ready. Get ready.
Nailed it.
Hello, everyone. As a creative director at The Mill, I've collaborated with amazing teams on diverse projects ranging from game trailers to Super Bowl commercials and immersive out-of-home experiences. Today, I'll share some key principles from my experience as a leader that could benefit you in your role. I've been told repeatedly that I talk too fast, so buckle up. Okay. So what are 3 principles that could be useful when tackling creative projects? Is the creative exciting? Do we understand the client's broader goal of the project? Do we have effective communication of direction, not just intention? The first one you can use even before you commit to a project. Ask yourself, is the creative exciting? The value to being excited by the work as a leader is that you'll be able to transfer your passion for the project to the rest of the team. With a passionate team, you'll get the most out of your artists. Also, judging your excitement level for a project is a really good indication of your understanding of what's needed to make the project memorable. I'd like to show you a job. Which is an example of something that was a lot of fun, and our artists really enjoyed making it. It was given to us by Marvel and Autodesk and had a clear objective, and we could see it was going to be a lot of fun. Marvel wanted to generate the buzz from their newly released movie, The Marvels, by leveraging the Sphere's massive format. And Autodesk were excited to see how we could showcase powerful tools like Maya on this very, very big screen. The Marvel team gave us the concept, a 3D Flurkin cat head that attacks, and some references. So my team and I made some concept frames so that we could all start to feel confident about what we were going to make. The concept frames solidified our confidence. This project would generate the buzz Marvel was looking for. My team was genuinely excited to tackle the challenge, and because the vision was clear, we felt we could take on the project despite the very tight 5-week turnaround time. After all, creating a massive alien cat with tentacles isn't an everyday task. It's a chance to make something memorable. And this is how it turned out. In contrast, if you aren't excited by your client's initial brief, all hope is not lost, though. The question then becomes, can we work with the client to adapt their brief? I think in most cases, yes, we can. But first, we must understand the client's broader goal of the project, which is my second principle. Do we understand the client's broader goal for the project? Now, I don't mean, do you understand what they've asked you to do? I mean, have you understood their higher goal? Let's look at a simple example from the world of construction that showcases what happens when you do what your client asks, but you haven't understood their objective. In this case, the client has asked for a ramp up to their door. One would assume their higher objective is so they could wheel things into the door. in this example. So who's at fault for this? Is it the client's fault or the builder's fault? The answer is it doesn't really matter. I don't think either party's got what they wanted. The client clearly isn't happy, and the builder won't have retained the client. Now, this is a bit of an oversimplified example, but if you take on a big creative project, like the ones we tackle at the mill, you add layers of complexity, large teams, and tight deadlines. The original message can get lost as the focus moves to execution. So as a creative leader, we want to avoid getting lost in the weeds and keep our focus on the higher objective. Now that we've understood the client's broader goal, we can then help them evolve the idea. Hopefully your evolved idea can get you excited by the project, and it will empower you to creatively lead. Okay, so the last principle. Do we have effective communication of intention, not just direction? Intention provides understanding. For example, asking an animator to make a CG character smile can give you a less powerful result than if you ask them to make a character look really happy. Why? Because happiness is an intention that you would like your audience to feel, whereas a smile could be small, cheesy, or sympathetic. Direction without intention can result in unwanted outcomes, like the example of the ramp. If we're making, let's say, a game cinematic with 20+ characters and 40 artists working across different disciplines, unwanted outcomes can be very painful and difficult to fix. I often need to give very detailed direction, but I always try to provide the larger context of what I'm trying to convey. Like in the example of Gaspard's talk earlier, giving us great insight into his understanding and skills as a character rigger. If I was lucky enough to work with him, I'd want to discuss with him my intention so that I could leverage his skills and understanding of performance and characters. If an artist understands the objective fully, they have the space to be creative within the bounds of the intention. The essence of a successful project lies in our excitement for it, understanding the deeper objectives and effective communication. I urge everyone here, no matter your role in the creative process, to take a step back before diving in. Understand it, feel it, and pour your heart into it, because when you're genuinely passionate about your work, it shows. Now, I'd like to present my colleague Jocelyn, who's going to talk to us about how we turn never-been-done-before ideas into reality. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, David. So I have worked in creative tech for about 2 decades, and I currently run the experience team at the mill. The experience team is the team at the mill that really does all of the tech-based advertising work. So we do VR experiences, we do AR experiences, we do technical interaction in a live experience, and we constantly are sort of approached to do something new. We have clients coming to us always wanting to break new ground, make headlines, just kind of make groundbreaking work. It's everything. It's from, I want to make advertising in space, to can we advertise underwater, to can we create some sort of interactive billboard that live polls data for our brand. And we really have to take these never-been-done-before ideas and make them real. So at the mill, we have come up with a few key concepts on how to approach something that has never been done before. The first key concept is tackling projects piece by piece. It is very easy to get overwhelmed by a whole big project, especially if it's something that you've never done before. But if we break projects down into its component parts or piece by piece, we can handle things one step at a time. So a great example of this, well, actually, before I dive into a great example, let me talk to you about home screens. They're everywhere. We interact with them all the time. It's when you turn on your phone, when you turn on your TV, when you look down at your watch maybe, or turn on your car. We're very used to how home screens operate. But when Magic Leap came to the mill wanting to create a home screen for an AR device, at this time, that was a brand new endeavor. No one had created a home screen for an AR device where there's content kind of seen in the background, but you see the digital content in front. We had to break this down to a step-by-step process. We had to focus on the first step, which was really just analyzing what were the component parts of a home screen for an AR device. Did it need to have easy access to apps? Did it need to have easy access to the device system? Did it need to tell you information, like a widget? Did it need to have time or date information? Did it need to give you notifications? You know, we really had to systematically think about the component parts of that AR home screen. And that was all we focused on. That was step one. And then we progressively moved on and on and on, taking the process step by step to develop an AR home screen. The next key concept that we think about when approaching never been done before projects is embracing constraints. So in marketing, we are constantly bombarded by limitations. You know, not enough time. David just mentioned 5 weeks to create that Flurkin. Not enough budget. Maybe the tech just doesn't exist. So we actually need to embrace those constraints. Constraints are the #1 driver of innovation. They cause you to think outside the box. They push things forward. And really, it's when you get inventive. So a great example of this is Google coming to the mill for a series called Spotlight. This was 8 years ago. They wanted to create content that surrounded you, like a 360 video. And during that video, you actually had choices to make. You could choose pass, kind of like a video game. At the time, there was no 360 camera. There was no camera rig that actually captured high-quality content. And we had to invent a camera rig that included 4 cameras with wide screens so that we could capture a full scene. We had a constraint of not having the hardware, and we invented it. We then had another constraint, which was how the heck is the director going to see this footage as we're filming it? There was no off-the-shelf custom stitching software. So again, at the mill, we created it. We created custom software that stitched those 4 camera angles together in real time so the director could see what we were shooting. I think this is a really good example of using constraints to think outside the box and create something amazing and memorable. We face constraints, but constraints, limited timelines can force us to think about different production processes. Limited budget can drive cost-effective solutions that you wouldn't have thought of it otherwise. It's really about using those constraints to push forward. Which brings me to my third concept, which is when creativity and technology align. So I think we very often think about these two things on separate hands. We kind of have creative on one hand and tech on the other. They're two separate disciplines, right? And you have tech that is kind of creating all these compelling and advanced tools, but it's not until they get in the hands of a creator that they really mean something. And at the same time, you have creatives telling stories, but it's only when they're using new tech that those stories start to advance and tell something different. A great example of this is the early days of VR. So early days of VR, we saw tech demos that were not the most compelling content. No shade to anyone that worked on it. I did too. But they were really just tech systems. They were tech demos. And it wasn't until VR really got in the hands of a creator where we started to see very rich worlds, multiplayer interactions and systems that pushed forward tech. So it's important to remember that, tech is only as good as the creator that's using it, and it really does matter to bring those two component parts together, because that's where the magic lies. It's really when you give creators tools to expand, they can use those tools to do things that you never anticipated. And it's only in the hands of a creator that tools really start to have a soul and mean something. So when we're approaching never-been-done-before projects, we need to remember 3 key concepts. 1, take things step by step. 2, embrace constraints. They're actually the #1 driver of innovation. And 3, make sure that your tech and creative teams are aligned and those departments are working together. Thank you.